Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 9 of the Sam Hossack Media Podcast. This interview of the Sam Hossack Media Podcast is brought to you by Juice Plus, a line of whole food products to bridge the gap between what you eat and what you should eat. Juice Plus, the next best thing to fruits and vegetables. For more information, please contact independent distributor Shelly Hossack. And now, without further ado, it is my absolute pleasure to welcome a star with the University of New Hampshire Wildcats women's hockey team, a TikTok star, and a native of Brantford, Ontario. Please welcome Emily Rickwood.
Hello.
So, starting off here, Emily, you're from Brantford, where you won an SO Cup back in your midget AA years. So, just take us back to that and the experience of being at the top of the world there in that sense.
Yeah, so we actually Brantford has kind of always been like the underdog. So we had a short team. We only had I believe it was like 12 or 13 skaters the entire year. We did well throughout the year, and then we got to provincials and we ended up winning. And then that allowed us to go to the SO Cup, and then getting there was just an unreal experience. It was something that none of us had ever done before. And we fought our way through. We lost our first game actually, and we were like, oh no, but we were like, we can't get down on ourselves. We got to stay up. And then we ended up going to the finals and winning. And I think our team was so close that helped us get all the way to the finals and win. Even with the short team that we had, it was just awesome to be there.
Absolutely. And for an experience like that, it's obviously the best feeling in the world. So, obviously, having a short bench, you're playing lots of minutes. So, was it getting tiring sometimes during those games?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we were playing against great teams with full rosters. So for us, it was hard, especially being a defense. We were going 4D and sometimes 3 if we would get a penalty. So it definitely was tiring, but I think the adrenaline just took over and we didn't even feel the exhaustion that was in our bodies.
Now, from winning the ESO Cup, you moved up to the Provincial Women's Hockey League with Oakville. So, just talk about your 2 years playing there and the experience you had with that league.
Yeah, so Oakville was an awesome opportunity. I never thought that would be a possibility for me just growing up in Brantford and not really many people being able to play in that league. And then when I got that opportunity, I was super excited. I had great coaches throughout the entire time I was there. I met so many great people who are now on the Olympic team or playing at NCAA schools themselves. And I think our first year we won provincials, Lower Lakes, and we got the Triple Crown and we finished first in our division. So that team was something I'll never forget. That was probably one of the best teams I've ever played on. And then, yeah, our second year, we still had success. We unfortunately didn't win all the tournaments, but we still had a great team and it was just a great experience.
Now, before we shift into the UNH stuff, being from Brantford, obviously the passing of Walter Gretzky is something that kind of shook the community. So, just talk about what your feelings about that were when you kind of found out the news.
Yeah, my dad had actually said that he saw Wayne a few weeks ago in Brantford and he wasn't sure why. And then when we found out the news of his passing, it was devastating. Obviously, he's made a huge impact in our hockey community and just Brantford in general. In elementary school, he actually lives 2 streets over from me, so he would always welcome us into his house on our lunch, and he would show us the basement he had all set up for Wayne. And he was just one of the greatest people I've ever met. So it was very upsetting, but to see all the things that people are doing for him is really great. And I'm really glad that people are doing things like that, like putting sticks and outside of his house and putting in his parking lot at the Wayne Gretzky Center flowers and everything. So it's good to see our community coming together.
For sure. And now we'll shift to the University of New Hampshire. You've been there for 3 years. So just take us through signing with the university back then and how your successes come so far.
Yeah, so it actually started with the Brantford team, just getting to the showcase tournaments in Stony Creek and Detroit and those major showcase places. And then they reached out and they just kind of watched me for a little bit. And then they made the offer, and I went and toured the school, and I fell in love with it. And then I ended up signing the summer before going into grade 10. And then just kind of kept working from there. They kept in touch the entire time, watched me, gave me things to work on and all those things. And then getting there my freshman year, it was definitely a big change. It's nothing like junior hockey or even like Canadian university. It felt like I was in like a movie with all the sororities and fraternities and everything. So it was kind of a bit of a culture shock. And then had a good freshman year, and then kind of tried to build up my confidence a little more for sophomore year and contribute more to the team. And then junior year, obviously this year has been kind of crazy with COVID and everything, but I feel like this year was when I really started to just like play like myself again and not worry about like being a freshman or sophomore. And I think this year kind of was like the breaking point for me.
For sure, and obviously your first year you met, I believe, your roommate who you're living with now and have made quite an impression on TikTok with, but just take us through the friendship you and Lindsay have.
Yeah, so I had never met her before, never talked to her before. We messaged a little in the summer before coming in, but not much, just like, oh, who's going to get the fridge? Who's going to, just little things like that. And then we got there and we just kind of like hit it off right away. We were just so similar. And I think we were both kind of nervous because we didn't know what to expect, because the other two girls in our class, I knew both of them coming in before. And then so I was nervous, but then we like hit it off right away. And then ever since then, we were just like inseparable. Like everyone would joke, like even our coach would be like, "Oh wow, like you're not with Lindsay. I never see you guys apart." Like just kind of stuff like that. So I think our friendship has continued to grow over the years, and now we live off campus together and everything. And I think she'll just be a lifelong friend.
And the one thing off TikTok was you guys got into a car accident with each other. So take us through that day and how that kind of went.
Yeah, that was just like a series of unfortunate events. We went to the rink. We were actually supposed to leave for Providence, I believe. We had 2 games that weekend. And we got to the rink and found out that someone on Providence had tested positive. So we were just there for a quick meeting. And like UNH just loves to give out parking tickets. So I was in the loading zone right by the rink. It's like a 30-minute loading zone. And she was like parked up in like illegally as well. And then I had to stay for treatment after the meeting. So I was going to go and move my car because I was like, I've been in there long for 30 minutes. So I went out to move my car. We walked out together. She went up to her car. And then I went around and was going to park in the parking lot that she was in, because the like UNH campus police don't really go there that often.
Yeah.
So then I was coming in and she was going out, and we just nailed each other. And we were like, what are the odds of this? Like the timing and us too. And it was right when everyone had gotten back on campus. So the parking lot was completely full. And normally it was like empty. So we would just like fly around in there. And then, yeah, and then it was just a bad thing. We found out we couldn't play. Then we got in an accident, and it was just bad altogether.
Now, obviously, you and Lindsay have kind of taken off on TikTok. So, where did the success for that kind of start, and where did the idea even start kind of posting that stuff?
Actually, it started freshman year. We had a few videos. I like put them in the private now because we were so young, but we started freshman year. I was like watching it before the app really became popular. And then I said to Lindsay, I was like, let's just start making videos. Like it'd be funny. It was before like you could like blow up and everything. It was just like whatever. And then we were like, okay, let's start making videos. So we made like a few videos, just like joke lip syncing. And then we like didn't make another one until this year. We started working at the rink, and we were there for 4 hours and there wasn't much to do. And she was like, let's just start making TikToks. We were like, okay. So we made one joking about like, I don't remember what it was, but we had hockey helmets on our head. And then someone commented and was like, oh, I bet those are their boyfriend's helmets or something. And then we made a video like coming back at them. We were like, actually, no, like we play on the team. And then that blew up. And then people started following us. And then we got to 1,000 followers and we were like, whoa. And then we went live and then just kind of kept going from there. And then our videos kept blowing up. I don't know how it happened. I guess just because of the hockey. Most of my followers are like Canadian hockey players. So I think it just kind of took off from there, but we were just doing it as a joke to kill time, and then it actually took off on us. So
Yeah, that's awesome. I think the one of your postseason glow up that you posted a
Yeah,
week or two ago just hit like 1 million views, and
yeah,
that's obviously
crazy.
something you guys never probably imagined to happen.
Yeah, no. And we were like, out of all the videos, how is it that one? Like, we were just joking. We are like, let's just do it. I might not even post it just to have. And then we're like, no, we'll post it. And then it just like shot up, and we are like, wow.
Who on the team chirps you guys the most for posting so much on TikTok?
I don't know. I think our roommates, like we live with two other girls, and they're always like, "Oh yeah, you guys are making TikToks now." I think it's just kind of like that. It was more of they more chirped us when we were at like a few hundred followers, and they were like, "Guys, why are you doing this?" But now that we've actually gotten up, I think they've like been like, "Okay, we respect you now."
Now back into this season, just take us through what it was like playing in the middle of a pandemic. Obviously, it's probably the hardest hockey year you've ever had, but just take us through how a normal like day in the hockey world would look.
Yeah, so we got there end of August, and honestly, all of us were like, "Okay, we're getting shut down in 2 weeks. Like, we're not going to get our hopes up." And we got there, we did all the testing. It was a long process. We had to go through phases. So the first phase was like nothing until we got 2 negative tests. And then the second phase, and they were like month phases. The second phase was we can start skating, but we only can have less than 10 people, or not skating, just like doing group team things, less than 10 people. And then the third stage was finally like we can do team activities, but we actually didn't even start going on the ice until I think middle of October, end of October. In the first part of the year, we just played like handball and did like conditioning and that kind of stuff. And then we finally were able to skate, but we weren't able to do it at the like Whitmore Center because they were using it for COVID testing and testing pickup for the other students. So we actually had to drive 20 minutes away on a school bus in groups of like 6 to go practice. And we had to wear, like, we didn't have the CCM mask yet. So we had to just wear like the regular mask. And it was hard to breathe. Everyone was like, this is not possible. Like, we're not going to be able to do this. And then moving into the actual season, we got the CCM masks, which were a lot better because they didn't actually touch your face. They go like around the chin strap. So we were like, okay, this is better, but it's going to be hard like to still breathe and see because you can't see your feet. And so we played with that for a little bit, and then they discovered that we can pull our masks down when we're playing, but we have to have them up on the bench. So that was good for a lot of people because half the time we couldn't see the puck when it was like in our feet. And I think the games were hard and definitely made it harder to breathe, but I think we were just thankful to play. We never thought the day would actually come that we would play. We thought we were going to get shut down. And then we ended up playing end of November, I think, and then carried through. And every weekend was just like, who knows? Like, we didn't know if someone on our team would test positive or someone on another team would test positive or who we were playing. Like, it literally would change the day before a game. We'd be like, oh, this team got COVID, so we're going to play this team now. And it was just kind of unknown. We had to be prepared like all the time. And yeah, I think we could have probably done better this year than we did, but we do have a young team. So I think with experience, that'll kind of grow. But it was definitely challenging playing in the pandemic. We couldn't stay in hotels, nothing. So we had to drive like 3 hours to Yukon when we played them and then 3 hours back the same day. So definitely was challenging.
Yeah, absolutely. And what are some of the road trips you guys went on? I know obviously Boston College and Boston U are the kind of closest ones to where you guys are, but what are some of the other teams that you would play during this season?
So this year, like our in conference, our longest road trips were Vermont, Providence, and Yukon. All the other schools are pretty close to us, I'd say. We didn't travel to Maine this year, so that was good because they're very far. But I think like normally we would play out of conference games. So we were actually supposed to go to Minnesota this year, but because of COVID, we couldn't fly or anything. So that got canceled. But yeah, just the in conference, those three schools were probably the farthest for us.
Now, tough loss at the end of the year there in playoffs, I believe it was. So just talk about the overall experience of the year and how you think the season kind of went. Obviously, it's hard to say with a tough loss like that, but overall, you've got to be happy being able to play the amount of games you guys did.
Yeah, for sure. I think we ended up in the regular season playing the most games out of anyone, so we were very thankful for that. And I think Hockey East is a very like good conference to be in because at any given day anyone can win the game. Like earlier in the year we beat Northeastern in shootout and then we end on a tough loss to them as well. But it's just so like it's literally it can go either way. So I think we had a good season. We just need more experience and we had like 8 freshmen come in and the class that left last year was a huge class for us. They contributed to a lot of our scoring and points. So I think our freshman class is really good. And I think once they just get into the groove of things more in a regular year, it will be able to put up more of a fight to those schools.
And a team there you mentioned, Providence, they're on an absolute tear right now, looking to win the Frozen Four. So how special was it to get that shootout win and contribute to, I think, either the one of the only losses they have this season?
Yeah, it was definitely a huge. It was a long game. We put up a good fight, and I think obviously playing against any of those teams, it makes us better as a team too. You know going into playing them that it's going to be a good game, and I think just being prepared for that was huge for us.
Now, over the last couple of years playing at UNH, you've played with some amazing girls that have gone on to play in leagues like the NWHL. So just talk about those people that you had the experience of playing with.
Yeah, so I think mainly our senior class of last year, they all moved on to play with the Boston Pride or the Yukon or the Connecticut Whales, and I think it was just obviously a great experience to play with them. Same with like the Oakville girls that I kind of talked about before. I mean, playing with any players like that just inspires you and wants to make you better yourself. So I think getting to play with those girls who put up those points is just you kind of look up to them, and I think it makes you better as a player as well. And not only were they great on the ice, they were also great people off the ice. So I think like just seeing how they are as like a whole person is really cool.
Now, how special is it as a female hockey player to see a league like the NWHL having the success that they did this year?
I think it's great. I mean, like it's kind of growing up, like my perspective at least was I want to get to college, but what is there after college? Like there's not much that we can work for. Um, like it just kind of ends after that. So yeah, it's great. But now to know that they're progressing and adding these leagues is huge, especially because like girls don't want to end their hockey career after they're like 22 or 23. So being able to continue it and hopefully they continue to grow with the salaries and everything, and that will be great for women's hockey.
Now, obviously, Frozen Four for women's is this weekend. Who do you see picking up the win?
Oh, I don't know. I've been watching the games with my dad, and it's tough. I think Northeastern is very solid all the way around. They were talking about their like 5 players that like Hobson, Fontaine, Mueller, Arard, and Murphy, and obviously Aaron Frankel and that. They're all great players. So I don't know. I think I'd probably say them. I just think all around they're a solid team. They have great depth on their team. So I would say them.
Now, at every university down there, it kind of seems there's a bit of a competitive edge between the women's and men's hockey teams. So, who at UNH is the better team, the women's or the men's?
Oh, definitely the women's. I think our men's team didn't even make it to playoffs last year, so we like to chirp them about that. And I think their heads are kind of big, so they don't agree. But
Now, in the Boston area, what is your favorite school to visit?
I think I love Boston College's rink. That's super nice. Northeastern has that like old historic part to it, so that's also cool. And they just added in like a huge big scoreboard, so that's cool to see as well. And I think my freshman year we played BU at the Aganis Arena where the men play, and that was like an unreal experience. It's like a huge OHL or NHL type of rink. But I think overall probably BC.
Now, favorite rink that you've played in your 3 years?
Other than the Wits, I think Penn State was like unreal. We got to see like obviously playing in that rink was cool, but then we also got to tour and everything. So I think that was probably the best one we've played in so far.
Now, obviously, at UNH, you guys have the amazing locker room that you featured on your TikTok. So, just talk about like being able to show up to a rink every day and have those facilities. How much does that kind of help you guys every day?
Yeah, it's definitely huge. This year was kind of tough with COVID because we were only allowed in the room for so long at so many. We actually had 3 separate rooms the entire year so we could space out and be under 10 people. But like in a normal year, it's like our space and like no one else can go in there. Like the coaches like can, but they just don't go in there. So if we like have class till 11 and then we don't practice till 12, we can just go and hang out at the rink and do our homework in there. So it's just kind of like our space to get away from school and like the dorm for the younger girls or like our housing for the off-campus people. So I think having that space that you can just go to is really big. And obviously the WIT is an amazing arena and they just redid our entire weight room too. So having that is huge now as well. So they really upped the facilities there and it's definitely a attraction point for people who are being recruited.
Now, heading into next year, what are you most excited about to be able to be back at school and hopefully playing in a normal year?
I think I'm most excited for just to see our team grow. I think we're losing 3 seniors and we're getting 3 freshmen. So for majority of the team, it's going to stay the same. So I think we're going to grow even more and seeing that freshman class come up will be huge for our team. And I think it'll be able to generate a lot of success.
Now, for those freshmen that are coming in, what's the best advice that you can kind of give them to enjoy their experience at UNH?
I think I would just say, just take one day at a time. It really does go by so fast. Like it feels like it was literally 2 weeks ago that I was just moving into my dorm. But I think just take it day by day and just do what's best for you. I think people just kind of take it for granted and they always say like you never know what day can be your last practice or your last game. And I think that's just a big part of it. So just like enjoy the journey while you can.
Now, funniest moment that has happened during your time at UNH?
Oh, funniest moment. I don't know if there's a specific moment, but there's one girl on our team who's actually my roommate who's just hilarious and creates so much humor and laughter in the room. And I think she probably creates the funniest moments. She always does these dances for the team before the game and everything, and she gets everyone hyped up. So I think she probably, out of everyone or anything, would create the most funny moments.
Biggest secret that Lindsay has that no one knows about her?
Ooh, I don't know. Biggest secret. I have to think about that. She's actually, well, this isn't a secret, but she's actually very smart and she does very well in school. I feel like most people wouldn't think that when you first see us or see her, but she's actually a genius. So I think she doesn't really have that many secrets, to be honest. But if that was it, she's like a genius.
Now, a player that you're really close with back home is Hunter Jones. So, talk about him a little bit and how amazing it is to see the success he has.
Yeah, we've known each other literally since he was born. Our parents have been friends. We have pictures when we were like 1 and 2 together, and we've kind of grown up playing. We played hockey together, played summer hockey together, and then we kind of like went our own ways when started playing girls hockey, and then we went to different elementary schools and everything, but then we ended up going to high school together for the last like 2 years, I think, because he was in Peterborough and going to school there, and then he came back. And then I think we just got close again in high school and we got like pictures together playing high school hockey and everything. And I think just like seeing him grow up and seeing him like go through that process was really cool. And now obviously he's super successful, but just like being close right from when we were younger, playing hockey together and just seeing him grow was really cool. So he's doing great. And I wish him the best. And we're still close. We still talk. So
So, who's the better hockey player? I know it's probably hard with him being a goalie, but who's going to take that battle?
oh, I don't know. It's hard. I don't think I've ever actually like played against him. So I wouldn't even know. I feel like I could probably score on him, but I mean, he's probably going to be in the NHL, so I'll give it to him.
Now, a moment that kind of blew up this year was a move where Willow Corson threw the puck over you, and that kind of went viral. So, just talk about what people are kind of saying after that. Obviously, there was not much you could have done on the play. I'll defend you on that. But yeah, just talk about seeing that literally everywhere because like NHL's posting it, everyone's posting it.
Yeah, so that was interesting to obviously I was skating backwards when it actually happened, so I didn't really see it, but I knew it was a good pass and then she scored obviously. But then when I woke up the next morning, I had like literally, I'm not kidding, like 80 messages on Instagram of just like people sending it to me. Is this you? Is this you? Is this you? I'm like, what is going on? And then I opened TikTok and the same thing. I had like 80 to 100 mentions in all these videos and I'm like, oh my goodness. And then it just like blew up and I had like over the course of the day I probably had 500 messages on like everything combined being like, is this you, is this you, all this stuff. And it was funny. I mean, it was a sick pass. I'll give her that. I couldn't really do much, so I wasn't like upset. I think it was more funny, and then I ended up making a video out of it, kind of just chirping myself. And yeah, but it was funny.
What's your favorite TikTok throughout the season that you made?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I don't even remember what TikToks I've made. I think probably that one was funny because I was just chirping myself. But yeah, I don't know. Or the dancing ones that Lindsay and I make because we're horrible dancers, but it's just funny to make them. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really have a favorite TikTok. I think they all, obviously the postseason one kind of blew up, so I think that probably takes the crown. But
Now, obviously, UNH is a prestigious school, but if you were to go back, what were some of the other offers that you had for schools, and were they kind of considered more than UNH, or was UNH at the top of the list from the very beginning?
I think UNH was at the top from the very beginning. I think majority of the interest I had was from Hockey East, so like the BCBU, Yukon, Vermont, Maine. So I think I was mostly staying in that like conference, but I think UNH was always at the top and they were the ones who stayed consistent with me the most because some schools would reach out but then they never really like stayed in contact. But UNH like continuously would check up on me. Hey, how you doing? Like, what are your thoughts? What are you thinking? So I think that kind of drew my attention to them because they showed a lot of interest and that was something I wanted. And then after I toured there, I was like, yeah, this is just definitely the school for me. So
Now, before we wrap up here, what was life down there like in a pandemic? Obviously, every state in the US is different, but how serious was it being taken down there?
I think our school did a really good job. They put in a lot of protocols and they did so much to make sure that we were healthy. They provided us testing 2 to 3 for athletes. It was 3 times a week. For students, it was 2 times a week. So they put that in protocol for us, and I think they did a really great job. But the students, on the other hand, they didn't really like. You would never know that there was a pandemic going on. Like there was still like you can see like where we live is like a little complex for like a bunch of students, so you could just see there was parties like all the time. So it was hard because the school was doing so much to keep us running, but the athletes and mainly hockey and basketball, because we were the ones who actually got to play in the first half of the year, we were all in our little bubble, so it didn't really affect us. But like other student wise, they probably should have taken it a little more seriously, but we stayed open and the school did a great job of catching it and putting people in quarantine. So
Now, besides hockey, what is your favorite sport to watch at UNH?
um honestly, I don't really get to watch many of the other teams, but I think either basketball. We tried to watch football one time, but we just like our team does like we didn't get it. We don't understand football, so we were like, but basketball is fun to watch. And I feel like if I got to watch volleyball, that would be fun too. And I think we watched soccer a few times. So I think probably basketball though, because you're like close to them. Like soccer in them, you're like so far up in the stands, it doesn't really feel like you're there, if that makes sense. But I think basketball was fun to watch.
Absolutely. Well, it's been an honor to have you on here today. So I'd like to thank Emily Rickwood from the UNH women's hockey team for joining us today. And we wish you the best of luck. And hopefully next season it's a normal year and you're able to travel across the US and hopefully win a Hockey East championship.
Yes, for sure. Thank you for having me.